Hello and welcome to episode 4 of my realistic Kerbal Space Program series. There's been some retooling, and this video is going to be a lot different from the other ones because I had been running everything onto a external drive, but I only discovered once I was putting episode 3 together how ridiculously slow the transfer rate is on USB 2.0, which I should have known. I just wasn't thinking about it. And it made trying to do all my voiceovers in post just excruciating because it was streaming, it was locking up on single frames, and I was really having a hard time with it. So this episode is a lot of deck cleaning. I'm wiping out a bunch of I'm trying to get as much condensed into one video as possible. One, so it's more interesting, and two, so that I can start off with a clean slate and continue to do voiceovers as I play and only go into post commentary when absolutely necessary, because this has been 7 kinds of brutal just trying to work all this out. But I'm trying to get a couple hundred gigs worth of recordings cleared off in this space while at the same time eliminating a lot of the boring stuff that really nobody wants to watch. Once you've seen one rocket ascent, you've pretty much seen them all. So I've been trying to chop down my launches. You'll still see some of them, bits and pieces cut into a coherent stream, just so that you don't, so I'm not using HyperEdit or something. But at this point, that was returning Verily Kerbin from his long duration EVA mission, and we're going on to a Lunar Impactor. I'm sorry, no, this is my Polar Explorer. This is a suborbital probe that I've launched to the North Pole for a small science payout, and plus to get that biome science done. And it's a real easy, repeatable mission. You can farm it for cash and science, but I highly recommend against it, just because it will take forever and you only get the 25 science, and you can do so much better in this game. I'm just trying to clear up all the Kerbin biome science, so I can say I did. I'm not going to make you guys watch every single minute of that because it's eye-wateringly boring, just floating around the planet. Going for the re-entry, hanging from our parachute. Put some scientific observation on this just because while I'm doing this, might as well. Extra science never hurts. And the main point of this was to get me over that hurdle so I could get to the next tier of parts that I was aiming to get unlocked. The big payout from this one is the 25 science you get from Mission Control Extended. But again, getting these experiments done means I don't have to do them again. There it is, all unfolded and probe-like. This is my science jet that I've been using behind the scenes to get my other biome science. I just fly it out, land it, take my readings, and recover it. I don't have vessel recycling at the moment, so I've actually had to suspend using this because every time it's about a 45,000. The current value shows what, 46,000 on it. It's not an insignificantly priced aircraft, and until I get vessel recycling, every time I send it out and recover it, I get nothing back. And I don't really think a single one-time use aircraft is really all that beneficial. So until I get enough spare science I can just burn on parts recycling so I can actually start recouping some of my costs from these aircraft, I'm gonna have to suspend using it. But I made it real easy to fly, real easy to land, stable, put some science experiments on it. The only problem is when I'm coming into the highlands and especially the mountains. Getting this thing down in one piece is very difficult. It can be done, but it's very hair-raising, and I'm playing with permadeath. I am not resurrecting or otherwise saving. I do have Vanguard ejection egress system installed. I don't have the ejection seat unlocked. And so at this stage, the way this thing gets down is I put some parachutes on it. It's kind of cheaty. I'm very ashamed of myself, but it's what I've got to do, because if you're trying to land this in the highlands or the mountain regions, you're just painting a huge target on your Kerbal's back. It's very unlikely you'll get anybody back at all. But at the same time, I don't have the patience or the time to, or even the finances in the game, because I would rapidly put myself into debt if I kept launching suborbital probes and they missed or came in too steep and the G-forces destroyed them. So this is how it's getting done behind the scenes, just the boring stuff that nobody wants to watch. That explosion was one of my blade antennas. It's a casing made out of refined explodium, it would appear. Take my readings. I'm pretty sure I tapped out all the crew science for crew reports and EVAs and stuff up here. The only problem is, as I unlock new science experiments, I'm going to have to keep flying this thing out here. But once I get recycling, I'll get 85 to 95% of the value of the vehicle back. Finally got electrics unlocked, which will allow me to make space probes that actually have endurance. And in fact, that's where we are going right now. No, this is not. This is the Lunar Impactor that I kept getting incredibly wrong. This was a reading comprehension failure on my part. If I had spent 5 seconds reading the mission description, I could have saved myself a whole lot of heartbreak and money. But the mission requires you to establish a stable orbit around the moon and then crash. Me, being the efficiently minded guy that I am, just thought, I'll set it up, I'll get it ready, and I'll just set on my transfer burn, I'll set my periapts to 0. It'll be fine. It really wasn't. I actually saved and reloaded this mission several times thinking I was chasing a bug, and was all about to head to the forums and embarrass myself when I took the spare moment to actually read my description. And this probe did not accomplish the mission. I was able to build another one that eventually pulled it off, but just kind of let my shame stand. That and the fact that by the time I finally got it right, I'd been messing with it for so long. I was so frustrated and exhausted from the day I'd had that I started fat fingering my Fraps recording button, and I actually didn't get the successful one recorded. But you can see the Idiot Express on its terminal trajectory. There I am, thinking I'm doing so great. Poor deluded little child. Start burning for transfer. And I cut out a lot of it because it's just tedious, boring crap. Start pushing that apoapse out. And there, we're done. Perfect burn. Everything's done, right? Right? Not so much. A little time acceleration action. I'm screaming in towards the moon. Oh, actually losing velocity. Still carrying on, completely oblivious to what I've done wrong. And after about an 840 meter a second impact, there followed about 3 hours worth of fruitless, idiotic bug chasing. Chasing the bugs that were not there. So on to one that did work. This is the ISA MapSat mod. I'm doing a low resolution radar altimetry scan of Kerbin. One, it gets me a nice pretty map to use. I kind of know my way around the planet, so it's not all that useful, but it's still cool. As you progress, you unlock progressively more sophisticated instruments. The next one you get is a multispectral scanner, which will give you a full biome map of the planet, and that actually is freaking useful. After that, you can get to a high-resolution altimetry map, which is really cool. It's kind of demanding system resources-wise, but cut through all the scanning, and I have my complete map there. One of the neatest things about it is that you can actually transmit the map back to KSC for a little bit of science. And different bodies give different science payouts. Kerbin's is low, obviously, because it would be a known quantity at the time. Just going to leave that satellite up there, because I think it looks kind of cool. And our good friend, the Polar Probe. Launched another one out because, again, I was just under the tier I was wanting to get to. I wasn't in the mood to spend a whole lot of money on something that could potentially fail disastrously and leave me very much in debt. So I just kicked another one of these up north. Kind of cheaty, kind of grindy. Not entirely proud of myself, but take my money and run. Make sure I clean up the science here. Although it did have a legitimate purpose. I got the high altitude atmospheric materials bay readings off that launch. I can unlock more science projects. Close out of that. And with all the new science experiments I just unlocked, I'm going to go for the low-hanging fruit and go after the runway data. Have the new surface ablation laser light imager. Keep that. And these universal storage combo packs that are the temperature sensor, thermometer, and the barometer. I think I've already done the crew report, but yep. And we'll recover that. And this is kind of the main event flight of this video. After this episode, I've learned my lesson. I'm going to be doing much more of my commentary as I play. This was kind of me getting lazy, and I am definitely paying the price for it. I've got about 200 gigs worth of videos that I've trimmed down and only used parts of for this. That's taken up a lot of my hard drive. I have a 2 terabyte RAID 0 array, but I still don't like to clutter it up. So this is the big launch. I'm sending a MapSat to the moon, which has a much better science payout, and it allows me to plan my Apollo program and start finding new and interesting places to send my excursion modules. Very low thrust to weight ratio on this one, but it's a pretty efficient rocket. Sorry, indigestion. This actually very happy with the way this got into orbit. And then I messed up my maneuver node at Apoapse because I was too busy admiring my ascent. Very slow, gradual climb. But at this point, I'm setting my maneuver node up to circularize, but I'm already way too close. And I'm messing about, finding... I actually found a mission that would give me a payout for this, which was a double bonus. Unfortunately, as you can see, MCE kind of bugged out on me, and you can see all my minimum, max, periapse, and apoapse readings are blank, which I kept having to load and reload, and eventually I just had to memorize what they were, because you can't see the values when it does this, but they are still there. And I can kind of illustrate that when I circularize and get my stable orbit set up. But I was flying blind for a large portion of this. It hasn't done it since. I'm thinking maybe there was a part on this ship that perhaps MCE didn't quite agree with. I'm thinking it might have been my mapsat, because I didn't launch the Kerbin mapsat on a mission. But I remembered I had to get my apoapse above 80. I had to get apoapse and periapse above 80, sorry, be more specific there, in order to complete the first mission goal, orbit. And at this stage, once I got that sorted out, there was a lot of... I could get it to display, but once I switched to my current mission and clicked hide finished goal, everything would disappear. So, a lot of frustration. I will probably do some more testing with the ScanSat map, the ScanSat mod, to confirm whether that was my cause or not. But I haven't sent any more mapping satellites up on missions, and I haven't had any other errors lately, so. But boom, that came up as finished. And at this point I shut the game down. I was doing a lot of trying to sort it out. Got my nice buggy flight path predictor. But I specifically adjusted my orbit so that I would come up high over the poles. And if you can accomplish that on, say, an interplanetary transfer, or even just transferring to a moon, if you're aiming for a polar orbit, that is, it makes your circularization burn so much easier, and it really decreases how much delta V is needed. If you're coming for a polar orbit, basically just try and set your periapse. Make it to where your orbit comes over the north or under the south pole, and you will be fine. Here I'm just trying to fine-tune that approach to get things straighter. And I don't think I had fully remembered exactly what altitude I was supposed to be at this stage, and so I was just trying to guess. I still believe that was way off. I think I ended up having to be... I want to say I had to be under 50 to get this. Which works out because the moon is so small and the rotation is what it is, that a lower altitude radar altimetry scan, you can usually... I think I got this painted in one pass, which I have almost never done. If it wasn't one pass, it was pretty darn close. Whereas if I had come in at the equator, I would have had to perform this 300 meters a second circularization burn, and then I would have had to burn normal or anti-normal to get on the correct plane. As it happened, I came in over the poles and was able to just go pretty much straight into a polar orbit. I had to do some fine-tuning, burning normal and anti-normal, but I think my total delta V expended on that was maybe 5 or 6 meters a second. I was actually astonished I had so much fuel left in this when I was done. Almost regretted that I didn't put some science packages on it, because I could have... There's probably enough juice left in this, I could probably land it. Just be very gentle and set it down on its tail. And somehow this bug also claimed my my enhanced nav ball, normal and anti-normal marking, so I had to do another reload. There I am, just finishing that up. And starts my scan. And on my next video, that'll be complete, and I will be back on to live commentary as I play.